Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I hope you liked the Santa tutorial I did last week. Today I will be using these plastic fillable oval shaped ornaments that I purchased from Amazon. It will be listed down below in the description. And I will be using some of these little animals and trees out of the snow globe mold. And I purchased these digital prints from Etsy, and I will have that linked down below as well. I do a bit of mixing paint in this tutorial. I try to get the right color for animal or item that I'm painting, so you will see me mixing a lot. This was burnt umber and white mixed together. The images from Etsy, I resized it to 3.53 by 3.53. That's what the system wanted to do as I sized up to keep it to scale. And it just perfectly fit these round acrylic ornaments. I went ahead and cut out the circle and made sure it fit inside of the ornament. I'll just be pushing it down to where there's like a little edge on inside one of the acrylic ornaments, and it just sits right in there perfectly. You can fill these up with snow, with anything else you like, but I'm just doing the little bunny, and then I am gluing or putting some glue down to attach some glitter on top of the house and on the ground to give it like an iridescent look. There's also a star on top of the tree that's red, so I put a little glue on that and add a little red glitter. I go ahead and put this together, and where the two acrylic pieces meet, there's a seam, so I will be covering that up with a beaded trim. I will make it out of resin, and you will see that next. Spoiler alert, I do paint the back of this green, but I did not like how it looked with the image, and there was a lot of red in the image, and I felt like red would have made better sense. So you'll see me paint this green, and then I'll turn around and paint it a red color. This is the red I used to cover up the green color. And you'll notice the trees are already done. I used that same green called Christmas green and painted those up. And now you're going to see me go back and forth on the paint for the deer. I apologize. I ended up using honeycomb. I used the IOD Bibelots mold to put a new cap on the acrylic ornament that I'm working on. I did not like how it looked. I want it to be more decorative. So I used the clay here, and I'll make like one side of it, trim it up, and then I'll make the other side, and then I'll attach it to the ornament. Here I will be using this metallic silver paint just to bring out the detail of the snowflakes. All of these items will go on the back side of the ornament. I'll make like a little scene. Now I'm attaching the beaded trim around the seam where the ornaments meet together. They almost fit perfectly all around two of the trim pieces. I did have to cut off one little rounded end, and I used the heat gun to heat it up so I can make it bendable again. I noticed that the second tree wasn't like centered with the ornament hook cap area. So I end up straightening that up a little later on in the video. I'm just using an alcohol pad just to clean off all the glue and the extra paint that is on the acrylic front. And even though I'm putting the ribbon on, I'm not happy with the where the two beaded trims meet at the very bottom. So as I'm putting the ribbon on, I'm contemplating what I want to attach to that. I end up attaching a little bow, and I made it out of hot glue. I figured that was the quickest way to make it, and it was so tiny. So I used glue, and I figured it would be too like more bendable because I want to swag the ribbon up on top. So you'll see me do that as well. This mold is by Redesign with Prima. It is called Madame Garland, and I just used hot glue just to cast one of the bows, and I cut it to make it fit. I ended up letting that glue dry, and then I was able to bend the swags around, and then I taped those up and let those dry. It's hard to see the shine of the glitter, but it looks really good in person, and now I'm happy with the ornament. This set of molds I purchased on Amazon. I wanted the little deer, so I cast it, and I used the same paint color, the honeycomb. I look up a picture of what a buck looks like, so I painted it to what I seen in the picture. I do use some older paints, so some of the paints may say enamels. I used to paint on glass, so instead of throwing those away, I keep using them until they're gone. But I will link it if I can. Oh, doesn't he look cute? Anytime I use the 24-hour resin, I always use this mold release. I've had a mold tear when I first started using the overnight resin, and ever since then I started using the spray, and I have not had any issues with it. So I do highly recommend, because you never know when your mold is going to tear, and they cost too much to damage. I make enough resin to fill the entire mold. However, I'm only going to pour in a little bit, and then I'm going to what they call back butter. I'm going to back butter the deer so that I can get a good attachment between the resin on the deer and inside the mold so it won't capture any air bubbles. So I do that and I set that in there. And then I will put in these little snow pellets. Not sure what they're called, but I want snow to be falling inside of the mold. So I will do that. Also, there are different ways to handle the bubbles. Next time I am going to try the warm water bath to put the bottles down in it and let it sit, because I do have bubbles. So a lot of times I'll just let it sit in a cup for a little while just to let the bubbles come out. I've used a heat torch as well to get rid of those bubbles. I've never tried the alcohol spray, but that's another way. So yeah, just do what you can to get rid of the bubbles. Just don't overheat with the torch, because it will ruin your mold. Also, I want to mention that these little pebbles, balls, or whatever you want to call them, they gave me such a hard time. They kept wanting to land and be right next to the deer. They also wanted to cluster. So I fought with those for a long time, just trying to keep them separated and off the deer. I was okay with the snow landing down at the bottom because gravity will bring it that way. And, you know, I don't mind one or two laying on the deer, but I didn't want them like attached to the deer, if that makes sense. And here I am sprinkling in some glitter. So this is the next day where I remove the casting from the mold, and I let the mold work itself. I don't pry the mold out. I just let it easily release itself so you won't tear your mold. And I'm looking at it to see how it looks. I think I just had one tiny little air bubble down at the feet where the deer was laying, which just added character. But other than that, it was pretty clear. So now I found two images on Google for free. So I take one of these and I used it as a backdrop, just a snowy tree, wooded field. And it doesn't matter that there's going to be a lot of white down at the bottom and on the side, because I will paint around the mold. But what is going to be inside of the snow globe will have snow and trees. And then I use decoupage or Mod Podge to decoupage it to it. And then I have the other image that I got for free, and I will put that on the back. After the glue dries, I use sandpaper to sand off the excess. That'll make it easier when I go put the next layer on and let that dry. I'll do the same thing with that layer. You will also see me attach a jewelry bell. I purchased those from Amazon as well, and I'll have that link down below. I do that in between the papers so that it attaches more securely. a dry brush with the gold paint, and then I will use two different red paints to paint the flower detail that is around the snow globe, and I will also add a bow to the very front at the bottom. The bow is from IOD's Victoriana mold, so I like the look of it on the very front, so I add that on. I touched up the red paint on that bow, and now it is time to dry brush gold on it to help bring out the detail. I really enjoyed working on these woodland little animals, Christmas ornaments. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you come back next time.